Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Patrick O'Malley. I am the founder of ShiftChange and your moderator for today. For anyone who's new, ShiftChange is a community for clinicians who are building something beyond the exam room. Physicians, PAs, nurse practitioners, all who are creating products, growing audiences, and building income that isn't tied to your next shift. We put you next to people who have already done it. We run live sessions like this and share the playbooks and connections to get you there faster. Now to today's opportunity. Your patients are Googling their symptoms and they're trusting whoever shows up first. Now, a growing number of clinicians are becoming that trusted voice and turning it into real second income without quitting medicine or posting anything cringe. And our speaker today has built exactly that. Dr. Dustin Portela is a board-certified dermatologist in Boise, Idaho, a serious clinician who has also figured out how to build a real audience. Today, he's going to share his step-by-step system from your first 1,000 followers to the point where it actually becomes income. So Dustin Portela, welcome. The floor is yours. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Excited to visit with all of you. And for anybody that's not joining us live and watching on the replay, welcome. I hope that the information that we'll go over here today can be helpful. I've had the opportunity to talk with some of the people here, over the years. One of them, Dr. Parente, was my mentor when I was rotating in Ohio before I graduated medical school. So what I'm going to talk about today is kind of that 0 to 10K, how to grow your social media following as a healthcare provider. Things that we never learned. In fact, when I was in medical school, maybe the same for many of you, they told us not to be on social media, to even just delete any accounts that you already had because the risk was too great to, potentially post a photo or something that could get you in trouble. And if you're posting whatever you're doing on the weekend with friends, that might still be true. However, there is a huge opportunity on social media to educate the public, to create income opportunities, to raise your profile as a key opinion leader in your respective field. And we're going to go through a lot of that today. We will touch on, of course, the monetization part, but also kind of that foundation that you need before you get into somebody offering to pay you for what you're doing on social media. A little bit about me. I am a board-certified dermatologist. In 2017, I finished residency. I joined another practice, and classic story in medicine where the old eat the young. It was a terrible job for me. I put my notice to quit about 10 weeks into that job and burned the candle at both ends for about 4 months before I opened my clinic in 2018. And we have been growing ever since. We're now up to 3 physicians, 3 mid-levels. And I turned to social media early on in opening my practice because I couldn't afford to pay myself and I had no marketing budget. And I thought if I post it online, maybe somebody will see it and come in and let me treat their acne or find a skin cancer. And that was my intention with starting social media. I had no intention or even a thought that it could mean an additional source of income for me. But over the years, I've grown to now surpassing 5 million followers across all the various social media platforms, TikTok being my largest at 2.5 million, but YouTube quickly coming up on that with about 2.3 million so far. In that, I've been able to partner with brands that I have been naturally recommending in the clinic, CeraVe, La Roche-Posay, Cetaphil, and dozens of others that I tell my patients to use consistently. So it's a recommendation that I can make with authenticity, products that I use for myself and my family. Probably the highlight of my social media career was doing a commercial with Saturday Night Live and CeraVe that premiered on their 50th anniversary special in 2025. All of this allowed me to generate the income to do something that I have been desiring to do since I was in medical school, and that is to have a mobile clinic where I can go out and provide free care. Our medical school had a clinic like that where we treated homeless individuals in Des Moines, Iowa, where I went to medical school, and I made a commitment to myself that I was going to do that someday, not even knowing what specialty I would be in at that point. And we now do a mobile dermatology clinic where we do community skin cancer screenings. We partner with county health clinics to serve patients in rural areas where they have to drive hours to see a dermatologist. And it's been incredibly fun and very rewarding to see those kind of patients who are super grateful for the care. We've gone out and caught melanomas and all sorts of other skin cancers and gotten people on the right treatment for lifelong skin conditions that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to manage. And in doing this, I've gotten a lot of questions over the years from many physicians. Every time I go to a conference, I get pulled aside and I'm asked about how to do this. And a couple of years ago, I sat down with my agent slash manager who helps with all of my brand deals on social media. And together we decided to create these resources for physicians because I love sitting down and talking with physicians one-on-one, but the questions are often the same. And so we started with a podcast called MedCreator 101. I will share that as a resource for you. MedCreator 101 is a free podcast. You can get it wherever you listen to podcasts. We've got dozens, if not hundreds of episodes at this point. We've been doing it for about a year and a half. And there's a ton of information here, case studies on other physicians that have grown on social media, their tips and tricks. We've also chatted with marketing executives from different brands who talk about what they look for when they're seeking to partner with creators, with healthcare providers. And then at the end of this webinar, I'm going to have a couple of resources for you. One of them is a free hook library about how to start your video to capture somebody's attention. So that'll be free at the end of the webinar. And then a couple, at least one more resource. And of course, my pitch at the end as to how I think we can continue to help you. The reality, as Patrick already mentioned in the introduction, is that your patients are getting medical advice from people who never went to medical school. They're searching these things and they're getting that advice and trusting. And we see that in our clinics all the time. Wherever you practice at, somebody is coming in and they're, in my case, they've got a skincare routine that's wrecking their skin and they don't know what's going wrong. People are neglecting to take their chemotherapy or their blood pressure medicine because some wellness influencer has told them that you don't need to do that, you should do this instead. And we see the complications of these. We see the downstream effects of people whose health might be getting worse. And we are really needed to participate in those conversations. When I first got active on TikTok, there was definitely some pushback within the dermatology community for the few of us that were getting active online early, saying that it was unprofessional. I wasn't on there, dancing or doing anything cringe, as Patrick said in the introduction. But I firmly have always believed that we need to go to where these conversations are happening. We can't take every person in the world and see them one-on-one in our clinic, and millions of conversations are being had daily on the social media platforms, and we can be a part of that conversation to share accurate information and nuance where it's needed. And I really believe that if your goal is only to dispel misinformation, social media will be successful for you. So there's a few different goals as to why you might desire to show up on social media. And I would encourage you to jump in the chat and kind of let me know why you're on social media or why you want to be on social media. That could be, in my case, in the beginning, to bring more patients into the clinic. So hoping that viewers would become patients. It could be speaking opportunities and brand deals. Social media has allowed me to create a generous source of income and also get on podium to talk about things that I'm passionate about, both medical and social media. It could be you want to be noticed as a key opinion leader. I've become friends with a dermatologist who his whole thing is dermoscopy and identifying melanoma as early as possible. And he has certainly established himself as a key opinion leader in early detection of melanoma. And he's been on Dave Asprey's podcast and he's getting some really big, views because of something that he's very passionate about. And it could be just to fight information. Maybe you're seeing the same problems over and over in the clinic and people are being misinformed and you want to go out and correct the record. And it might be something, completely different. So if there's a reason you want to be on social media, let me know in the chat. And I'm just going to look and see how I can see the chat.
And just to let you know, I did put a lot of your links in the chat already so that people can connect with you on some of the things that you're doing. But yes, everybody feel free to ask questions, drop things in the chat as we're going.
Yeah. Okay, so what I want to cover today is the question I posted on ShiftChange last week about what people would want to know. And these were the most common questions. What platforms do I start with? How do I get started? How do I structure a professional presence? How do I grow my audience? And then how do I make high quality short form videos? And we're going to cover all of these today and then give you some resources to help continue that conversation. I would love to know what your specialty is and maybe what the thing is that's holding you back, that is stopping you from being as active on social media as you want. That might be time, that might be just a lack of knowledge on what you need to do. But if there's specific blocks that are holding you back, I'd love to know about them and see if we can address them on the webinar today. So let's talk about, where do you start? Short form video is the growth engine right now. Vertical video that you're seeing when you're scrolling Instagram, Facebook has it, YouTube has it, TikTok kind of started that trend. Now, where you start posting is probably going to be somewhat dependent on who you're trying to reach. So going through the most common platforms, TikTok tends to skew a little bit younger. You are going to have high discoverability on TikTok with their algorithm to serve your content to brand new people. And it's the attention economy. Simply, each video is essentially judged independently as to how many people it's going to reach. And I've had videos with 2.5 million followers that almost nobody saw because maybe it wasn't a great video. And I've had videos that I had very few followers in the beginning that reached millions of people because it was something that people really wanted to know. And so not having a lot of followers does not hold you back from having a video go viral and get a lot of attention if it's something that people find valuable. Instagram Reels are probably the next biggest thing after TikTok. And this is going to be a little bit older of an audience than TikTok. Millennials kind of live here on Instagram. This is where they spend the bulk of their time. And there's outliers on all of these platforms. Of course, you have young and elderly on all of these platforms, but the bulk of the demographic on Instagram is going to be a little bit more, millennial, elder millennial. YouTube, there's an audience for everyone on YouTube, and people have been able to cultivate a following around some of the most random topics, and there's a huge audience for those things. And so YouTube probably has the most staying power for the life cycle of your content. You could create a post that can continue to get views for much longer than it might on TikTok or Instagram. TikTok, you can post a video and usually within 72 hours, the views that you're going to get are what you're going to get. There's rare exceptions where something might blow up a week or two later. But on YouTube, I've had videos that didn't perform exceptionally well in the first few days, and sometimes 6 months later, they blow up and get 1 million views. So YouTube seems to have really dialed in that evergreen SEO where people can find your content for years to come. LinkedIn and Facebook. LinkedIn, of course, is going to be a little bit more professional. If you're looking to create opportunities as a key opinion leader or get on podium more, pushing your content out to LinkedIn can be really helpful to share your expertise with people who are decision makers. And then Facebook is probably the platform where more of the Gen X is and the older demographics. And so if your patient population that you're trying to reach tends to be in their 60s, Facebook is probably where they spend the bulk of their time. So I would encourage you, before you try to be on all the platforms at once, to pick one and learn that platform, get good at creating content for it and posting on it so that you can refine your approach, and then you can go out and push that to other platforms as you get comfortable with one. And at the end of the webinar, I'm going to share a tool that will help you repurpose your content from one platform to all of the others when you're ready to make that expansion without taking a ton of time. So again, pick one platform to start, master it. It's much better to be really good on one platform than to be poor or mediocre on 4 different platforms. One of the most important things that you can do is start before you feel ready. I get that as healthcare providers, we tend to be a little bit more type A. We're perfectionists. We want things to be really good. We want them to look perfect. We want to sound perfect. We want to be polished and professional. But the reality is, if you wait until you're perfect, you're probably going to delay starting. And that is going to be the biggest inhibition to your growth. You just need to start, even when it's not perfect. If I go back and I look at the videos that I posted in 2020, I cringe a little bit at them. I wasn't trying to be cringe, but I've gotten so much better at creating content because I've been doing it for 5 years. The volume is important, the reps are important, and it's better than waiting to be perfect. So don't wait for the perfect setup, the lighting, the audio, all of those things. I will go over what I think are the most important things to add to your video, but the most important thing you can do is just practice. Record a video and post it. At the very least, start recording videos and rewatching them to learn from it, but don't delay posting for months and months because you're just not going to reach your goals that way. You have to actually do the thing. So this is kind of a first 30-day guideline to recap what we've talked about so far. Pick one platform. Find where your audience is, who are the people that you're trying to reach, and create your account for that platform and start posting, even if it's just 2 to 3 times a week. It's better to be on a consistent posting schedule, even if it's not every day. It could be, twice a week, 3 times a week, rather than trying to post every day for a week, getting busy, and then forgetting to post for a month. The algorithms will learn how frequently you post, and they're okay with that as long as it's on a consistent basis. You don't need a bunch of fancy equipment. In the beginning, just film and edit right on your phone. You could do it inside the app that you're posting on in most cases. For the first couple of years, everything that I filmed and edited was on my phone and then in the TikTok app. I would film in the TikTok app and I would edit from the TikTok app and then I would post it there. So film and edit on your phone. It limits the barrier to entry so that you don't have to buy a bunch of extra equipment. Now, what are you going to talk about? Use patient questions as your topic list. You're getting asked the same things day in and day out. You're seeing some of the same complications or misinformation. And start to record those things. Put notes in your phone. And those can be things that you'll talk about when you set aside time to record. And don't delete anything. The video may not perform super well in the beginning, but especially on YouTube, it might pick up months later and get a lot of views and really help somebody. And I always like to put it in perspective. Social media gives us this false sense of what success is. But if you are an obesity specialist, for example, and you had the opportunity to speak to a room of 100 people who were interested in losing weight, most of us would take that opportunity because we can see those people face to face and have an opportunity to make a difference in their life. And so if you post a video and it gets 100 views, that's still 100 people that found something beneficial from your content. So don't think that a video that doesn't get, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of views is not a success. You really can still help and improve people's lives from very limited views in the beginning, and it's giving you the opportunity to get better at creating and posting content. Some of the common things that I have found that hold people back is time. I mean, we are busy physicians. You're in ShiftChange or you're looking at it because you want to do other things. You're not busy enough as a doctor, or it's not as rewarding as you want it to be. So you're involved in side gigs. You're doing other things that mentally challenge you as well. And so time is the biggest commodity that we have. And to solve this, I would always say, set aside a little bit of time where you record all of the videos that you're going to do. If your goal is to post 3 videos a week on one platform, you can set aside 30 to 60 minutes one time a week to record and edit those videos. And there's some AI editing apps that will almost let you edit the whole video in one click with very, very few tweaks from you. They do a really good job. So and I'm always available through Instagram or messaging on ShiftChange to help give you some more tips and tricks. And we talk a lot about some of those tools in our podcast as well. Confidence. Most of us were never trained for media. We don't know how to talk to an audience. And we've all been to conferences where the speaker's not very good. They're an expert in whatever it is they're talking about, but they're not good at presenting. But they're asked to come back and speak time and time again. So they're confident in what they're doing. You can be confident on camera. And I would always tell you to think of it not like you're talking to a huge room. Think of it as one single patient. Imagine a patient who you've had that exact same conversation with, and that you're looking them in the eye and you're talking to them almost like you would a friend. I've heard other people say they like to look through the lens, not like they're looking at a camera, but just imagine the person sitting behind the camera and have a casual but, professional conversation with them. We don't want to appear stiff and overly clinical. We need to speak at a third grade reading level for the majority of people on social media to understand us. HIPAA fear is real, and we have to be very careful about that. One thing that we have a disadvantage from is that on social media, all these wellness gurus and influencers, they can say whatever they want, and they're not held to a standard. There's no medical board that's going to be breathing down their neck if they get something wrong. There's very little, if any, consequences that I've ever seen come to any of them. And so you have to be cautious not to share individual patient stories unless you have express written consent for social media. This is not the same as a photograph release for the clinic that you might put on your website. I had an attorney generate a specific social media release, and we let the patient know exactly how the video is going to be used or their story is going to be shared. But most of the time, I don't bother. I don't share specifics of a patient. I speak in very general terms. If you're in a small town and you've got, one patient who has a very rare condition, you can talk about that condition, but you probably don't even want to say, I saw a patient today with, sickle cell anemia or whatever it is that you happen to see, because if it's a small town, people might know who you're referencing, and you have to be cautious about that. And then just not knowing what to post. But the truth is, your practice, your day-to-day clinicals are full of the content, and that is what we're going to talk about next. Quick question that came in. What platform are you using to quickly edit a video? I'm using CapCut and spend way too much time on editing. Let's save that one for the end. Some of these can take a little while. So, anatomy of a strong profile. What I would encourage you to do, even if you're just going to be active on one platform in the beginning, is to go ahead and set up a profile on all of the platforms so that you can get the same handle. So you'll notice on all of my social media, if you look, it's at Dr. Dustin Portela, at Dr. Dustin Portela. I made a conscious decision after I'd been on social media for a couple of years to make all of my handles the same, so that if a patient finds me on one and they want to find me on another, it's going to be exactly the same. They don't have to search for me in any different way. And that makes it just consistent everywhere. I also tend to use the exact same headshot across all of my platforms. So if I ever update it on Instagram, I'm going to update it on TikTok. And it should be something that represents who you are. It's not the photo of you on vacation. It's ideally clinical attire of some kind, so people understand that you have credentials. The bio should be about who you help, kind of in one line. What problem are you helping someone to solve? And that's generally going to help you reach the right people a little bit better. So if you start posting content on obesity and your bio says, I help people drop 30 pounds in 6 months, something like that, then when they come to your profile, they see a video that you did on obesity, they come to your profile and be like, oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to follow this person. And that's going to be more powerful to the consumer than if you say, Dr. So-and-so, board certified in obesity medicine, board certified in family medicine, and practice at, X clinic in Nashville, Tennessee. So you're really showing what it is that you do, who you help, and the problem that you solve. And you can do that very concisely. And then that should be consistent across all your platforms. And the purpose of just setting that up on all of the different social media platforms is that you have it, you own it. Because if for some reason you're only on one and you blow up, there's a decent chance that some grifter is going to go over to another platform and register your name, and then you can't get it, or they'll try to sell it to you. And that's just a hassle. It's not ethical, in my opinion. So just go and establish the same handle on all of them. A link, ideally just one clean link. And that might be to book an appointment with you, might be your practice website, or you could do a link in bio, which is what I do. So drdustin.bio is just a custom web for a link in bio style tool. And once they go to that, there are several links, but you don't want to overwhelm them with 20 links to every affiliate product that you represent. You want to have no more than 2 or 3 things ideally that you want to direct people to. If they go to your link in bio and they find so many options, they get analysis paralysis, and they're not going to do anything generally. So that could be, book a call with me, schedule an appointment, or here's a resource that you can download. Just keep it very simple. And then it can be a good idea if you had videos that went viral that did really well, you can pin them to the top of your profile in most of these platforms, so that if somebody sees a video, they come to your platform, they have 3 more videos right at the top that show the credibility that you have. Now, I wish that it was true that people would follow us just because we have credentials. That's simply not the case. Just because you're a board certified physician or nurse practitioner or PA, people don't really care. And we know this because they're getting advice from people who have no credentials because they are charismatic, or they're very good at speaking, or they edit their videos very nicely and it's compelling and it grips their attention. And so your credentials are important, but they're not the most important thing to getting attention on social media, unfortunately. What people will actually connect with is the voice, how you communicate. If you are super stiff and clinical, it's not going to resonate with the average person. They want somebody that they feel is having a conversation with them. Your point of view, what it is that you believe that's maybe different from what other people in your industry, in your profession might believe. What unique angle or take do you have? Because that's going to give somebody hope that, like, this person has answers that I'm looking for. Consistency. If you can consistently post videos, again, even if that's 2 to 3 times a week, that is going to be more valuable to somebody because there's something new for them to come back and see, rather than you had one video go viral and you didn't have time to post for a month. Even if they followed you, you're going to drop off of their algorithm. And the next time they come on, it's probably not even going to show them one of your videos. And then relatability. Show some of the things that make you who you are. There's a creator that I had a call with just to learn how they did things, and their whole philosophy was becoming a category of one, being the only person that can deliver the information the way that you do. So bring your unique view to it and challenge the status quo where appropriate. Be somebody that they can relate to. What is it that makes people come to your clinic right now? What do you offer that maybe other clinics in town don't offer? And bring that kind of expertise, the way you talk to patients, the silly jokes that you tell. That are the type of things that can also help to find you people on social media. Professional versus semi-professional. There is kind of a sweet spot here. Again, you want accurate, on-brand information that is credible, that is backed by evidence. I think it's important to have clean, high-quality audio. Audio, I believe, is more important than video quality. And then just a recognizable look and feel. And you'll find some creators that they wear basically the same things in their videos. So there's a business creator named Dan Martell. He wears a blue shirt in all of his videos. So as soon as that pops up, people know it's Dan. Alex Hormozy wears a flannel and a wife beater t-shirt, and people always know that it's him. So you can wear a white coat if you choose. I usually wear a scrub top that has my name on it. In my YouTube videos, I will put on the white coat because I find my videos perform better when I wear a white coat versus when I don't. Let your personality show. You can do some of those behind the scenes things, some candid moments from the clinic. Use the humor that you're used to using in the clinic. Use your real voice. You're not on stage when you're talking on social media. And people want to connect with real people. And if you create too much distance by being overly polished, overly professional, I'm not talking about being unprofessional or crass or crude, although there's some physicians that have taken that approach and it's worked for them, but it certainly will turn off some people. Just be yourself. And that's easier said than done. I understand that. And then you can kind of pick 2 to 3 content pillars. These are topics that you will hit on consistently so that your content is predictable and that you have a variety of things that you can talk about. And so I often will do skincare content is one of my pillars, myth busting, so correcting misinformation. I do a little bit of fitness content when I hit the gym. I usually will post about that so people can see that I incorporate a healthy lifestyle into the skincare recommendations that I make. Some people like to film vlogs, day in the life. I find that they're cumbersome and take too much time, so I don't do those. But whatever will work for you in your flow is, what I'd recommend to write down two to three topics that you can consistently visit and create content on. Now, one of the objections we talked about earlier is what are you actually going to talk about? And most of these can come right now from what's happening inside your clinic. Patients are asking you questions over and over. You're seeing the same complications or medication interactions or misinformation. So what I would do is every day when you're seeing patients, open up the Notes app on your phone. And if you get the same question that you've heard a million times, just jot that question down. If there's a new complication that you think could have been prevented, jot that down. If you get the same question twice in the same day, jot that down. And then when you sit down to record, you can take those topics and expand them into a teaching video, ideally one topic per video. If you try to cover too many things, people are going to lose attention. But set aside 30 to 60 minutes, whatever your schedule will allow, and record 3 videos. And then use an editing tool to clean them up. If you have the means to do it, there's inexpensive editors that you can work with remotely. But for the most part, for 2 years, I edited all my own videos. Now I do use some outside editors. Capturing attention is the most important thing that happens in the first 3 seconds of your video. And this is what we call a hook. And all of the things we're talking about will get you that foundation to make some money on social media, which we're going to talk about shortly. But the hook is what keeps people from scrolling away in the first 3 seconds of your video. And at the end of the webinar, I'm going to have a hook library of over 50 different hook examples that you can start to use right now in your content. This is just a few generic ones. Stop using lemon juice on your skin. There's people out there that do that. They might watch that video and be like, why is this guy telling me not to do that? The number one mistake I see patients make. So people want to know, well, I hope I'm not making that mistake. I'm going to watch what they have to say. Is blank actually bad for you? Is turmeric actually bad for you? That's a contrarian take that maybe somebody takes turmeric every day and they don't know that you can overdose on it. A doctor reacts to, a dermatologist reacts to. I find that those videos often do really well. So you want something that hooks their attention in, but you need to answer the question by the mid to the end of the video so that they actually have a resolution and they don't feel that your content is clickbait. So if you say the number one mistake I see patients make, and then you take 90 seconds to finally get to the mistake, people probably aren't staying around for the whole video. So you've got to get to the resolution quickly and then have a call to action. Tell patients or consumers of your social media, what do you want them to do next now that they have that information? And that could be, I want you to follow me, ask your questions in the comments, book a consult with me in the link in my bio, just for example. Now, views, likes, those are things that we all know on social media. Sometimes we call them like followers and views as vanity metrics. People can buy followers, they can buy likes on their content. And so the things that actually you should be looking at when you post content are not the vanity metrics. It's nice to have followers. It's nice to get a lot of likes. But if you got 100 views, go and look at your analytics. What is the watch time? How long are people actually watching your content? These platforms will register a view after somebody sticks around for like 3 seconds. So if they see your content and they immediately scroll by, that generally doesn't register as a view. But you can look at your watch time and you can see, so people that actually viewed it for 3 seconds, did they scroll away? Did I lose everybody by 5 seconds, or did they stay to the end of the video? And so most of the platforms, if you look at the analytics, have something called a retention graph, where it usually drops slowly over time. But if you have a point on your retention graph that's going down and all of a sudden it drops, midway through your video, you can go back and look and see, all right, at 28 seconds, everybody left my video. What happened there? And how can I make my next video better to keep people till the end? Saves, I think, is a really important metric for healthcare professionals. You might have shared some great information on weight loss or GLP-1s or skincare or sunscreen, and somebody found that valuable enough to save it because they want to come back to it later. Maybe they're getting ready to take a trip, and I just shared the best sunscreens for a beach vacation. So they're going to save that. And then before they go on their vacation, they're going to go back and rewatch that video and then go buy those sunscreens. So saves is something that people found very useful and they're going to come back to later. And shares is one of the most important metrics that I think the platforms and the algorithm on the platforms prioritize, because that ultimately what these platforms want is they want people to stay on platform as long as possible. And if you share a video with somebody, it pulls another person into the platform to watch that video. And so the algorithm sees that this video is bringing more people onto our platform and they're sticking around. So shares can be highly important. So if you create healthcare content and somebody shares that with their cousin or their sister who might have that health problem, that's bringing more people onto the platform. And so followers and views and likes, they're nice, but these watch time, saves, and shares, I think, are potentially more valuable metrics for you to look at the success of your content. Authentic beats polished. And this is a big change that's happened over the last 12 months in social media. Over time, people were getting more and more professional in their video quality, in their audio quality, their lighting. I built a whole studio in my new office so that I can record. That's where I'm recording now, and that's why things look so great. But as AI has become more popular, people are starting to wonder if a really highly polished video is actually AI. And so more very high-level creators like the Alex Hormozis, the Dan Martells, that are teaching other people how to do content, they're now going back to filming just on an iPhone. The video quality is not as great. They're preserving good audio quality, but what it's doing is it's showing a real person and authenticity, and that this isn't created by AI. And so it just gives people a feel more that they're connecting with a real person. And so that's why it's a great thing to just start with your phone. And maybe that's all you ever need, is just to film with your phone. Raw, real, and human is what wins right now. And again, the one exception is bad audio. People will tolerate bad video way more than they'll tolerate bad audio. So if there's one investment that you're going to make, I would make it a microphone. It could be a little clip-on lavalier mic that plugs into your phone, or a wireless one. There's dozens of them out there. That's the one upgrade that I think is worthwhile. You'll get a little bit better audio from like your Apple earbuds, but a lavalier microphone is a step above that for sure. So it's the single best upgrade that you can make. Happy to make recommendations, but there's so many good options. A tripod is inexpensive. You can find dozens of them on Amazon. Something to just hold your phone stationary. I know some people like those sticky mounts that just stick to a window or a mirror, and those can work great too. And then if you're interested in better lighting, you can get a ring light. They're also very inexpensive. But past that, you don't need a lot of gear. And honestly, I know very successful medical creators who don't use any of these. They just stick their phone to a window where they have good natural light, and the audio is recorded right from their phone. And they're just in a room, so they don't have a lot of noise. So you don't want a lot of background noise. If you're in a place where there's background noise, that's where a lavalier microphone is going to be helpful to you. So practical filming and editing tips. So you can kind of see on my video, I'm about chest up. So that's kind of how you want to frame yourself in vertical video. So vertical, you want eye level kind of 2/3 of the way up the screen. You can face a window for free natural lighting if you're recording in the day, or get a cheap ring light. Keep your clips short. One topic, cut out dead spaces. And so some of these editing tools, if you have there's one that I've used sometimes where I can just use AI and tell it, cut out any dead air that's more than 0.3 seconds long. So if I take a breath, if I'm paused in between thoughts, it'll just automatically cut those things for me. But you can cut those out manually pretty quickly as well. But you don't want long pauses in your content because people will scroll away. People have no attention span on social media. It's a problem. Good enough and posted is better than perfect and never published. So I think there was something I learned in Gen Surge, just like, good enough is good enough. Like don't keep going for great if things are good and you're in the middle of a surgery. So Editing, CapCut can be very helpful. It can be a little labor intensive, as Dr. Parente mentioned. And so some of the other tools that you might look at if you find that something like CapCut is taking too much time, there's another app called Captions that you can get on your phone, and that will allow you to do one-click editing, and it will put in graphics. It can put in B-roll for you. I think it's a little more expensive than CapCut, but it will do almost a one-click edit, and then you can just tweak a little bit here and there. There's another tool called SubMagic. I'm happy to share links for those if you guys want. SubMagic can do editing. Descript is another AI editing tool. One reason I like Descript is that it's text-based editing. So you upload your video, it will transcribe the video, and then instead of looking at the waveform and making cuts and moving things around, it will just show you the block of text that you spoke, and then you can delete a word and it will delete it from the video. So Descript and SubMagic kind of have that text-based editing. I would encourage you to add captions to your video. Seems contradictory to what I said earlier, where good audio quality is important. If people are listening, they want good audio quality, but a lot of people have their phone on silent when they're watching because they're on the subway, they're at work. When they should be working, they're scrolling TikTok. And so if you put closed captions on your video, it is going to increase the number of people that stay through your video. One clear idea per video, and leave in those human moments. Don't over edit. Don't be overly polished. So how does this become income? Brand partnerships and sponsored posts. So when you are on social media and you start sharing things that you already recommend, that you authentically believe in, things that you use yourself, talk about those on social media. Brands will notice. Tag the brand, use their hashtag, whatever it is. They have whole marketing teams dedicated to finding people who love their product, and then they will reach out to you and they will pay for that reach. They want to access your audience, and there's tons of resources that we can share, and we've talked about it in the podcast on how do you know what to charge these brands and what are the things you should look for in those contracts. Some of these brands want you to create content for their page because you've talked about it. They might love a video that you already posted and ask if they can pay you for that video to use on their plan, on their page. Whitelisting and usage rights, that's where you just give a brand access to your pages and they can push ads through your page to your audience. Vet those carefully, make sure that they're things that you believe in. And the whitelisting area is a place where scammers may try to target you. So if you get reached out from a podcast or a brand that you love, you need to vet and verify that that really is coming from them, because people will spoof those and then take over your Facebook page. I've had it happen to friends, unfortunately. Speaking and consulting opportunities, if you demonstrate through social media that you are the expert in this thing, people are going to ask you to come and speak. And that doesn't have to be at medical conferences. You can position yourself as a speaker for corporate events, for patient advocate events. And then affiliate and product opportunities. This is the easiest one to get into. You love to recommend a certain supplement. You can use an Amazon affiliate link in your content where people click that link and then you get paid a commission from using that. With all of these, there's ethical considerations that we talk about in MedCreator 101, where you make sure that you do it right and that you avoid any complications from the Federal Trade Commission. So to be partnership ready, again, have a consistent and clear niche. So know who you are on social media, and consumers know who you are and what to expect from you, because brands are going to look for somebody who's consistent. They don't want somebody who talked about them once and then spends all the rest of their time talking about the shoes that they're buying. Keep a simple media kit. This is a little bit more in depth. Once you start getting brands that reach out to you, it can be very helpful to have a little media kit that shows who you are, what platforms you're on, and you may or may not choose to put what you charge for posts in there. And then protect your credibility. Only partner with the brands that you use or you recommend or you have seen results from. There will be brands come out of the woodwork that you've never heard of, and they might even offer you a ton of money to talk about a product. But if it's something that doesn't have good scientific backing, and then you go and you talk about it in a paid format, it can really damage your credibility. And it's very difficult to recover that on social media sometimes. All of this, we have modules on in MedCreator 101 to walk through the pricing, pitching, contracts, protecting your name, image, and likeness. This is just some of the feedback that we've gotten from the podcast. I won't read all of these verbatim, but it's there if you want to pause and look at it. So to recap the 5 answers, pick one platform where your patients are already at. Start before you're ready. Just getting those repetitions in is better than starting and being perfect. Build a credible but very human and authentic profile with clear platform pillars, things that you will talk about consistently. Grow with practice-based content, and then watch the right metrics. So your content ideas come from your clinic, and then you watch how people respond by looking at your retention graph and your saves and your shares. And then keep it authentic with high-quality audio over, professional video. I will just share the big resource that I've really been building with my manager over the last year is MedCreator 101. This is an 8-module course that goes much more in depth on all of these kinds of topics. So we really try to get you the foundations and the principles to define your purpose on social media, to pick the right platform, how to actually create content, how to film that content. I went through media coaching and actually took acting lessons to just be better at speaking on social media. And I distill a lot of that knowledge into the filming and the editing section, how to read analytics, how to grow your community and connect with them, how to get brand partnerships, and then the legal and ethical considerations. So all of that is available in MedCreator 101. We did price this at $997, and I think I gave my business partner a heart attack by telling her I wanted to offer you guys $500 off. And so that code CHANGE. If this is a tool that you think makes sense for you, and if you have follow-up questions, shoot me a message on Instagram, but the code CHANGE will save $500 for the next 14 days. And then the free resources that I promised you here, this is the Hook library. It actually comes from Sam Gaudette, and I credit him in there. And so we can, I don't know if they can click that, Patrick.
They can't, but if you're able to copy and paste it and just put it in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me pull that up here.
Now, in this course that you've got, do you cover any of the new AI aspects of all of this with the avatars and the Hey Gens and all of the AI?
We didn't touch on that in this, which is kind of the foundational course. Mm-hmm. But one thing that this offers is it's joining the community and it's mm-hmm. lifetime access. It's not a monthly. And so there's additional resources that we'll add over time.
Okay.
So in the chat, the first link is called Repurpose. I don't know if that whole link is working properly. You might just have to copy that. If you want to just create content on one platform, and then this tool will automatically send it to all other platforms that you connect. So post on TikTok only, it will download without a watermark and post it to Instagram, to YouTube, to LinkedIn, whatever you tell it to do happens automatically. And if you've been posting on TikTok for a year and you're like, all right, I want all those videos on Instagram, you can just tell this tool, go back and take all my old videos from TikTok and post them to Instagram, and it will do it.
Wow. That's that's huge.
And then let's get this one in the chat. So this is the Hook library. Let's see, I think that link works. It says document.
Yep, it does.
Okay. So that will give you 50 different ways you can start a video. So you can take those, you can plug in your niche, and you have something to talk about. 30 to 60 seconds, get your message across. But at least that should help people get started. Let's see. John said that repost saves him hundreds of hours a year. It saves me a ton of time as well. The tool that posts old videos on another platform is repurpose.io. And I have that link above there, Helena.
So what are your takes? It looks like you're starting to do more on LinkedIn. That's just the platform that I feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
And I think that more people are posting videos on LinkedIn, but it's still a very text heavy
Yeah.
storytelling type platform. How are you navigating that? Are you going all in on the video side of LinkedIn, or are you writing and
I'm
telling your story at all?
Yeah, I have not done a lot of writing. I do have a Substack, but
Mm-hmm.
most of that is patient education, and I rework those from my videos with the
Okay.
help of AI, and then I do the final edit, of course, because I don't want to just straight up post an AI transcript of a
Mm-hmm.
video. Um, so for me, it's a time thing. I don't have the unlimited time, and my audience is largely consumers, not as much the
Mm-hmm.
professional audience. And so I haven't done the text part. I've just done more videos and hoping that those will find the right audience. But
Okay.
I have not pursued LinkedIn as a monetization place. And so I'm just posting to post because I'm already making the content and I just want it to go everywhere.
Okay. Now, one thing that really stood out to me when you were talking earlier, you took acting lessons. You
Mm-hmm.
hired a voice coach and all this stuff. And I think that's one of the things that I try to emphasize within Shift Change and other entrepreneurs, who are especially at the very early stages. I think that we hamstring ourselves when we don't invest in
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. And, obviously right now where I am, it doesn't look like it, but at home, I've got a very nice, home studio. And with coaching and with all of these other things, what are your thoughts on that? If you're trying to build some kind of a side gig or an entrepreneurial endeavor of your
Mm-hmm.
own, how important in your journey has that been?
Yeah, there's somebody out there that's done what it is you're wanting to do and probably can be a mentor to you, whether that's a professional coach or just somebody who's willing to
Mm-hmm.
chat with you from time to time. And I've always been fairly comfortable speaking in front of people. I did door-to-door sales in college, so it
Mm-hmm.
was no big deal for me to just talk to somebody new. But I wanted to see, could I get better? And I was referred to this guy. He's an actor, lives in LA. And then during the writers' strike, where no production was happening, he's like, I got to make some money. And
Mm-hmm.
he had the opportunity to coach some executives who run big companies, but were terrible at talking to their shareholders and were terrible at giving presentations. And so he essentially said, well, a good public speaker is just somebody who knows how to act.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of these principles that we use to be on camera, and he's acted alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone, and he's never been the main character, but he's been in a lot of things. And so he took the skills that he learned as an actor, and the goal of his course was really for public speaking and presentations, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of overlap between those skills. And so that was a very worthwhile investment for me to just say, how can I be better? How can I be more refined? How can I come across more naturally on camera? Just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not shy to be on camera doesn't mean that I'm really great at it. And I
Mm-hmm.
do believe that it helped me to get better, to connect with my audience on a deeper
Mm-hmm.
level. Now, if your goal is to write a book, if your goal is to publish a course, like there's people that have done it and will coach you how to do it. And that can really save you a lot of time. Let somebody else who's already made the mistakes help
Right.
you get there faster. I think investing in those things can be incredibly helpful.
Agreed. Yeah, and so Tatiana asked, could you share the name? I would be very interested in connecting with them and,
Yeah.
perhaps getting them to do a webinar for us.
Yeah, absolutely. His name is Joe Sabatino, and I'm happy to reach out to him.
Yeah.
Um, Joe Sabatino, he's once you talk to him, you'll see like, oh, I understand why this guy's played like a New York cop a whole bunch of times
Right.
or a mob guy, like, but the nicest dude. So
Okay. Yes, that would be fantastic if you could connect me with them or just send over their contact information. I'll reach out.
yeah, yeah, I'm happy to do that. I think his Instagram is called Behind the Talk.
Okay.
Yeah, behind.the.talk.
Talk.
And he's not a
Awesome.
big social media guy himself, but
Mm-hmm.
so he doesn't have tons of followers, but he posts little tips there, and but he does work with you one on one through Zoom and put you through some fun exercises, and so
Okay. Well, let me add, I know some of the other people who are on here their audience is more business oriented,
Yeah.
and they're more of like the physician founder, not trying to reach patients,
Hmm.
more so trying to sell their service. It's not the layperson. We're trying to
Yeah.
connect with other physicians and bring them into the fold. Are there any special tips that you would have towards that audience?
Yeah. You are there to solve a problem for someone
Mm-hmm.
else. And I think the more clearly that you can describe what that problem is and how you help, it's a very similar principle to speaking to a consumer on social media. I might be speaking to the mother who has hormonal acne, but if I can identify the problem and talk about a solution, that's the narrative they want to find themselves in. People like to be the hero in their own story, and I think sometimes we approach social media as we're the hero, we're here to save the day for everybody, but we're just the supporting character in somebody
Mm-hmm.
else's story. And so just approach that as, who's my target and how do I support them on their journey to solving the problem that I happen to be really good at solving. And that might be, software sales. It might be an organization you want them to join or donate money to, and how it helps them. Like, how does it make their life better to do the thing you're trying to get them to do? They are the hero, you are a supporting character, but identify the problem and show the solution. You can give social proof as to how it's helped somebody else. There's lots of ways to do it, but I don't think the principles are really that different.
Okay. How about mixing in text and static images,
Yeah.
or does everything have to be video?
Nope, does not have to be video. I think it can be very helpful to mix those up. So Instagram, about a year ago, they had kind of forgotten that they were a photography first platform, and so they made a little tweak in their algorithm where carousel posts with text started doing really well again. And so this is one thing that I do with my team, but you can do it pretty quickly with AI nowadays. Is you can take a video and then you could just throw that into AI and say, make me a carousel with 8 photos that basically says the same thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have one piece of content that now becomes two, and you upload those photos. People can swipe through it, but it'll have that hook. It'll have the problem. It'll have the solution. And so sometimes it's just a static image and quite a bit of text on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And you put a 7-second audio clip on that, and it takes somebody longer than 7 seconds to read the text that you put up there. And so then you get
They
two or
stay
three
longer, right?
watches. Yeah, you get 2 or 3 watches out of that. So that
Mm-hmm.
that can be a strategy. But I think that going only with images and only with
Mm-hmm.
text, and unless you're on a LinkedIn or a
Mm-hmm.
Substack, if you're on these platforms that like video, you should also do some video so
Mm-hmm.
people know who you are and they can connect with the real person.
Great insights. Does anybody have any questions, any comments, anything that you might be struggling with from a social media perspective? Go ahead and unmute and pop in.
Hey Dustin, this is Manny MSS. Great presentation. Thank you
Thank you.
for sharing. Yeah, my biggest thing is I'm trying to post a little bit more. Doing videos felt very overwhelming, and I think the advice of just start doing it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's
Hmm.
going to be you're going to look back on it. It's not going to be the best. Is really good advice because I think just recording those and even flopping a couple times and getting back up and trying it again
Yeah.
is really the way to go. The thing I'm struggling the most with is kind of I feel a little bit all over the place and kind of I think when you talk about pillars, I think that's probably the most important next step for me is organizing around pillars and trying to make sure that they thread together and then making that clear for the people that I'm talking to. Because in my
Yeah.
head it's clear, but I don't know that it always comes out that way as I'm posting.
Right. Right. Yeah. What specialty do you work in?
So I'm emergency medicine, but I, quit full time and I'm doing right now I'm doing discharge throughput work through outsourced virtual expediter that then will kind of work into some AI automation later on down the road.
Hmm. So who's your target on social media? Who you're trying to reach?
So that's the thing is like I think the main target is going to be chief medical officers, chief nursing officers, probably have an audience with CNOs as well, or
Hmm.
FOs as well.
Yeah.
But the building in public usually ends up, speaking more towards fellow physicians that are branching out and doing entrepreneurial work, which is great for networking, but not
Yeah.
really reaching who I want it to reach.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like LinkedIn is a great place for you.
Yep.
So yeah, just get started, identify just 2 or 3 pillars, and for 1 month, make content one, like if you got 3 pillars, 1 video on each pillar per week, posted over 1 month, and let's just see how it goes. Use the
Love
hook
it.
library, identify
Yep.
the problem, and how you are going to solve that problem for them.
Love it. Thank you.
Well, we're right up at the top of the hour. Does anyone else have any questions? We've put all of your information in the chat if anybody wants to connect. Dustin, are you marketing your course? Is it's out there ready to
It's
go?
out there. Yep.
People,
Yep.
okay,
Medcreator101.com.
okay,
And so it's available to sign up now. We officially launched it about a month ago.
okay,
We're running some paid ads behind it and stuff too. So
awesome, very good. Well, we will plan on sending. I mean, quite a few people here are inside of ShiftChange. If anyone who is not inside of ShiftChange, if you want to learn more, please send me a message. You can go to myshiftchange.com to learn more. We do have these weekly webinars that are open to everyone inside the community. We have closed meetings as well, which we just refer to as office hours. Every month we run a pitch slap event, which gives physician founders an opportunity to get in front of an audience and kind of share what you're working on and get insights and feedback. But if there's ever anything that I can personally do to help you or assist you in your journey, don't hesitate to reach out. And I think we'll go ahead and just wrap it up. And thanks everybody for being here. And Dr. Portela, thank you for sharing your expertise and insights. This was very, very helpful. Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Awesome. Thanks everyone.